But without further ado, because he's a really busy guy, between his enormously financial planning and his business there, landlord to hundreds of thousands across the tri-state area. But we're privileged to have him on our show a couple of times every week, the great Tracy Jones. Tracy, good morning. You're looking better and better. That broken nose is starting to heal quite nicely. Are you feeling better?
I'm feeling better, but can I ask you to do me a favor? Because
yes.
I know you guys pay me well. Can I please get some intro music? I mean, is that too much to ask?
Do you want some intro music next time?
You want some intro music next time?
Yes, I do.
Are we allowed to run music? I mean, sometimes you have to pay for that stuff.
We've
Tracy's got money in case we get fined. He can just throw us a bone there.
Yeah, we've got some. We got some free music library that we can use.
Okay, what kind of music you want, Tracy? Heavy metal? You want some jazz? What do you want?
You know, I'm looking for maybe some Cinderella, some Don Dokken, Into the Fire, something like that. Maybe some Loverboy, something in the 80s.
Loverboy.
The 80s.
Loverboy. I could see you back in the day when Loverboy, everybody's working for the weekend, if I remember that correct, right? Because I have my 40th high school reunion this weekend, Tracy. My 40th. And I can promise you Loverboy will be featured prominently in the music selection over the next couple of days. Were you running around with a headband on and all that stuff back in those days like Loverboy was?
No, but I did have my members only jacket and my parachute pants. And I got to tell you this, Tom. I took my wife to Loverboy, a concert, right? And she saw that. There was nothing better than after concert sex. I mean, she was in the mood.
Oh,
if
God.
you ever want to get your wife or girlfriend in the mood, take her to one of those bands in the 80s, but just like that.
Why do you think that is? What is it about 80s band? So you're saying like if you went to Pat Benatar or if you went to...
I love Pat Benatar.
Well, of course you do.
Love him.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just those 80s bands, right? I mean, you talking about across the board 80s bands or specifically Loverboy? Because there's a lot of our audience that might be jumping on to what you're talking about right now.
Well, Loverboy is a group that I like, but there's a lot. I love Foreigner. Have you ever seen Foreigner in concert? Very good.
I have. They're really good. They had a lot of great songs.
Yes, they did. But I've been to a lot of concerts. I grew up right next to the Fabulous Forum. Remember the Fabulous Forum?
Of course.
And all my buddies would work the door, and they would call me up and say, "Hey, listen, you want to? We got seats," and they would snake me in. And I've seen Pat Benatar, I've seen Metallica, I've seen AC/DC probably 5 times. I've seen the Jackson 5. I've seen the Osmond Brothers. So I go way. Petula Clark was my first concert I ever saw. I saw Petula Clark at Caesars when you used to get a dinner. I got a chicken dinner with my parents. My parents took me. Petula Clark and the Osmond Brothers was my first concert.
The Osmond Brothers, now that, they weren't the Jackson 5, but they were a big league band.
Very talented. I love Donnie, and I especially love Marie.
I knew
Marie
that.
is a...
Why did I know that was coming?
Talking about a clean hiney, that's Marie Osmond.
You're becoming predictable now. You're becoming very predictable now. I knew that Marie was coming.
Hey,
all right, this is allegedly a sports talk show. I don't know anymore. I really don't.
It's the Tracy Jones dating advice show.
Marital advice.
Or divorce advice, either one.
Yeah, I'm about to go on my second divorce. Yeah, I'll give you guys an update. Things are not going well.
Why?
I don't know. I think
no concerts.
That's my wife comparing me to you. I don't know what it is, but we'll work it out. She's a nice girl. I love Danae. Been together for a long time. Knew her when she was 18 years old. That's a long time, Tommy.
How much older are you than her?
9 or 10 years. Not a big difference.
Yeah, that's
my wife. It's not as bad as your dad's.
My wife, no. No. My dad's married to Amanda, who's younger than me.
Oh, God. You better watch what you say.
My stepmom is younger than me.
Let's move on. Move it along.
Yeah, let's move it along.
Lord.
All right, I want to talk about Aaron Judge. Because, and we're going to talk more about this too later with Paul Doherty. We both love baseball. You played in the major leagues for a long time, successful major league career. You followed the game ever since you left the game. I had a chance to broadcast baseball for 32 years. Love the game. Now I kind of fall in and out of love with the game. Aaron Judge sitting on 60. The Yankees scored 14 last night. He did not hit a home run. They play the Boston Red Sox tonight at Yankee Stadium. And Fox has decided they're going to pick up that game and put it on national television in case he ties Roger Maris, American League, single-season home run record at 61. Are you paying attention to this? I mean, really now, have you been paying attention to this?
No, you know what? I actually am paying attention to it. Aaron Judge, to me, is the most exciting athlete going. I mean, football, basketball, baseball. Have you watched him hit? He's going to win the Triple Crown, Tom.
He's got a chance.
I mean, he is having a fabulous year. And here's what's funny about this. I actually do a little homework, a lot of goofing around. You know that. But he's 20 home runs ahead of Kyle Schwarber, the second in home runs in baseball. I mean, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? It almost goes back to when Babe hit 60, and the closest to Babe, and I forget the numbers, like 18.
Yeah.
I mean, he is so far and above with no PEDs. I mean, and he's just launching left and right. He's really quite a player. I think he's won 4 or 5 games with home runs. He's
Tracy, we talked with my dad about this yesterday, and obviously based on what you just said about being the most exciting athlete in sports. So I'm assuming that if you had an MVP vote, okay, and let's assume for a second he won the Triple Crown. It's going to be he's got some work to do in the batting average area, but in home runs and RBIs, he's a runaway winner. But do you think he's more deserving of the MVP than Shohei Ohtani?
Yes, because Ohtani plays for a team that's in second to last place. With me, if you get MVP, your team's got to be up there. They got to be they've got to make a playoff spot. And Ohtani, as good as he is, Tom, he's a special, special player. He's not Aaron Judge. I mean, he's good, but he's not Aaron Judge. I got a quick story about Aaron Judge, which is pretty good, Tom. Can I tell it?
Of course. That's why you're here. That's why you're here.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I lost track of time.
You're the one that has an appointment today. You're the one that tells me when we're texting a couple of nights, oh, you got to have me on at 10 o'clock. I can't be late for your dad. Got a big day today.
Well, I can't be. You want my ass chewed? If I'm late 1 minute, he'll chew my ass. So I have you, Brennaman Jr., then I go see Brennaman Sr., and then I'm off to the doctor to talk about my concussion and my broken nose. And just for a heads up, Tom, the concussion thing does bother me. It's my 8th concussion. If I'm at all insensitive, vulgar, rude, please correct me on that. Okay, I don't want this show to go in the gutter. Just correct me, give me a little correction because it'll be because of the concussion.
Okay, all right.
But
you were starting to say the Aaron Judge story.
The Aaron Judge story. I was helping my nephew in Southern California. It was at Nomar Garcia Parra's hitting camp. He's got a hitting camp and a lot of batting cages, so on and so forth. And my nephew, pretty good ball player. My brother actually broke a lot of Tony Gwynn's records at San Diego State before Mark Grace. My brother was the first baseman before Gracie, a good friend of yours, right?
Yep.
So we're sitting there, and I'm helping him. My brother's helping him. And there's this guy, this J.O. next to us in the cage, and he's going like, he's got, Tom, honest to God, he's got like 20 kids. And he's kind of out of shape type guy. And this is how he's teaching the kids.
I know.
That's all he does, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, should we go over there and help these kids? Because that's not the way you hit, right? Swing down on the ball, think up the middle. He's doing this, and me and my brother are laughing. You know who walks in?
Who?
Aaron Judge. That's Aaron. The guy who was going like this was Aaron Judge's hitting coach. He's the guy that taught him the launch angle.
You got to be kidding.
No. It gives me goosebumps because it was so crazy. Actually, this guy had never played ball. He was a physicist. And he just says, you got to get the ball up in the air. This is how you do it. It's the launch angle. And if you watch Aaron Judge, that's what he does. And I mean, he's the best home run hitter I've ever seen. I mean, it's really something. Here, this
The
guy
best home run hitter you've ever seen?
Yes.
Come on. He's not the home run hitter Barry Bonds was. Come on.
Barry Bonds had a little help.
Well, I'm not
Barry
saying
Bonds,
that, but I mean, come on.
Okay,
Barry
legit.
Bonds.
Well, come
Okay.
on, Tom.
That's
He's got
fair.
60 home runs. You got to shake yourself.
I believe me, I know he does, and I understand the whole Sammy McGuire Bonds. Yeah. I get all that. But Barry Bonds.
But you know what? Let me go back. And you know what? I'm going to give you credit on something. The greatest player I've ever seen play, all-around hitter, was Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
How good was he, Tom? He'd roll in, play the Reds. He did a home run in that first inning every single time.
Well, I had a chance to see him. And again, I get the whole PED, accusations and all that kind of thing. To my knowledge, none of that has ever been proven true.
Well, it's kind of funny. We always talk about PED with these, but we never talk about greenies with some of the other players, right? Back in the old days.
Yeah.
We don't want to open up a can of worms on this show, do we, Tommy?
Well, no, but that's a fact, and I think it's out there in the open.
Fact.
And everybody, it's a fact. It's no doubt about
That's
it.
A fact.
No doubt about it. But I will tell you, I saw Bonds for the best 7 or 8 years of his career at a minimum 20 games a year. Because I was announcing the Arizona Diamondbacks games for the first 10 years of the franchise. Bonds was playing inside the National League West, and I was doing the Fox Saturday Game of the Week, which was almost exclusively for our group. It was the West Coast game. And the two best teams in the National League were the Diamondbacks and the Giants. When Schilling and Johnson were pitching for Arizona, Bonds and Kent, they got it going on there. And I tell you, the best drama I have ever seen, and I've talked about it on this show once or twice, but the best drama I have ever seen, and you don't see it at all anymore, and in this day and age where everybody's afraid of offending somebody or hurting somebody's feelings, you're not going to see it again. But every time the Diamondbacks played the Giants in those days, Curt Schilling, whether you like him or not, the guy's a Hall of Famer. And people ought to be ashamed that they're holding his political opinions against him from putting him in the Hall of Fame. If there's a single greatest pitcher I would take on my team since I've been alive, and I can't speak for the guys going way, way back, but if there's one guy I want pitching Game 7 of the World Series for my team, it is Curt Schilling. But anyway, every time the Diamondbacks played the Giants, the press would go to Curt Schilling, and they would say a day or two before, they'd say, hey, you're facing the Giants. Got to be fired up for that. Division showdown. Schilling would say, just go over there and tell number 24, Barry Bonds. Said, go over 25. Said, go over there and tell him that he's getting nothing but fastballs every single pitch in every single at-bat. I'm not throwing him splitters. I'm not throwing him changeups. He's getting the gas on every single pitch. Now, that's a man's man right there.
So where did he put it? How far in the right field stands did Bond play?
Well, he hit at it used to be known as Bank One Ballpark. Now it's Chase Field in Arizona. He hit the hardest ball I have ever seen hit in my life off Schilling, who threw there it was, fastball, and Bonds hits this missile to straightaway center field. And this thing just starts to do this. And it hit an area in straightaway center field that it's almost impossible for a ball to be hit from home plate in this area at this particular laser trajectory. And I mean, it hit the back wall in this thing, and I thought the damn building was coming down. He hit it that hard. But that's good stuff.
It's really good stuff, and I love talking about Bonds because he's so good.
Do you think those guys, Tracy, should be in the Hall of Fame?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But Bonds, his personality hurts him, Tom. I mean, he was a bit of and like Betty Davis.
Not a bit. He was a first-class clown.
But that's all right. You're nobody until you're difficult. Betty Davis said that. Mark that down. Write that down, Tom. You mentioned a player. Now I'm not going to stutter on this, so you better be ready for this. And I think you might.
I'm writing this down first. You said you're nobody until you're difficult.
Yeah. Betty
Okay.
Davis.
All right. Thank
I
you.
kind of live by that saying.
Yeah, I am well aware.
Okay,
So go ahead.
you ready
were
for
saying.
this?
Yes.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
You know who's the greatest hitting second baseman of all time? Jeff Kent.
You know what? Again,
There we
a
go.
lot of Reds fans are going to go crazy because of Joe Morgan. Joe Morgan, he was a guy, back-to-back MVP, first ballot Hall of Famer, phenomenal all-around player, was a better all-around player than Kent. But as strictly an offensive player as a second baseman, I think you might be right.
Yeah, because you look at Joe's stat. I'm not going to take anything away from Joe. I mean, even though I had a higher career average than Joe Morgan, I'm not saying I was better than Joe Morgan, Tom. But you look at Joe Morgan, I mean, he didn't have good years in Oakland, didn't have good years in Houston. I mean, he had those 2 fabulous years with the Reds. But Jeff Kent, look at the ribeye steaks that he drove in.
Yeah.
I mean, he hit home runs, he hit for average, and nobody talks about this guy. And again, another jerk.
Oh, boy. I mean,
Right?
gold-plated. I've told the story, and I know you got to get going. But when I was doing the Fox Saturday Game of the Week, and as I mentioned earlier, we would do a lot of San Francisco Giants games. So I would fly up on Friday from Phoenix and spend the night Friday night, play it 1 o'clock in the afternoon the next day, and get on a plane late that afternoon to fly from San Francisco to Phoenix. And we had just had our first child. Our daughter Ella was born. And anyway, so this is in 2002 or 3, I think it was. So I had caught wind through a bunch of guys on our camera crew because our director of our Fox games was also the director of the Giants games, all of their games. And our entire camera crew that travel with us every single week were all Giants guys. So I had caught wind through a camera guy that Kent is bad-mouthing me all the time for coming in and doing these games for Fox. So I went down before a game, and I said to him, hey, do you and I have some kind of problem here? I'm just here to do my job. Do we have some kind of an issue? And he looks at me and he says, I don't appreciate the fact that you come in here every Saturday and you root for us to get our asses kicked.
Is that true?
Like, what? I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, look, you're the Diamondbacks guy. He says, you're coming in here and rooting for us to get our butts kicked every single week, and I just think it's BS. He said, it's no different. This was the next line out of his mouth. He said, it's no different than that big heavy guy that announces our games. And I said, you talking about John Miller? He says, yeah, John Miller. He says, when he goes off on a Sunday night for ESPN and goes down to do a Diamondbacks game, he's rooting for you guys to get your butt kicked. He said, so the whole thing's all effed up. And I said to him, Jeff, listen, here's the deal. I said, the only thing that I care about when I come to do these games is that I do the best that I can on the telecast. I said, but even more importantly, I said, is that there is a 5:50 p.m. flight out of SFO that takes off direct to Phoenix, Arizona. I said, the only thing I care about is being on that flight to get back with my wife and our newborn daughter. And if you don't bat in the bottom of the 9th inning, that enhances my chances that much more. So I don't give a rat's tail about whether or not you win or lose. Just win or lose quick.
Yeah. Just listen to that story. Yeah, listen to that story. You're lucky you didn't get your ass kicked by a Major League Baseball player right there. Because, you got to watch your mouth. You know what I'm talking about, Tom?
Well, it's too late now. I've been banned from the sport. I'm out. That's right. And so it doesn't make any difference anymore.
Back.
Yeah,
we'll work on it. We'll get you back.
Do you have any thoughts before we let you go on the Bengals this weekend?
Well, I'm going to say something.
You got your green shirt on for the New York Jets colors. That's not good.
It's not their color. I'm going to say something that people have probably never heard before. This Bengal game is a must-win. You ever heard that saying before?
What, Brandon?
I was gonna say you. Let Tracy talk. I'm not as
No, but what
important
were
as
you
him.
going to say, Brandon? You were jumping in. What?
I was going to say, if you're going to go back to the big leagues and call games, you and Tracy should be in the booth together. That'd be
No
great.
doubt.
That'd be awesome.
How would you feel about
not
that,
a
Trace? You and me brought.
not a chance.
What do you think? Would
And then you
happen to
guys can do the post game concerts together afterwards. They have on the field. It'd be perfect for you,
Yep,
Tracy.
Cool in the Gang, stuff
Yeah.
like that. Saw them in Pittsburgh a couple years ago on the field. Phenomenal concert. What do you think would happen to? Let's not say the Reds. Let's pick another team. What do you think would happen with the television ratings of the Boston Red Sox if you and I were broadcasting their game starting next season?
Do you really think anybody knows Tracy Jones? Everybody knows Thom Brennaman, and you'll be back in the booth, I promise, in the next couple of years. I don't think it would do a damn thing, Tom. I really.
All right,
don't.
what about
I
in
think
Cincinnati? What if Sadak and Barry Larkin decided, you know what, we want to go on a trip around the world together with our families, and for 1 year, Jones and Brennaman are in that booth? How do you think it would go?
That's different. That would be a huge success. We could do a lot better than those guys. They're too cheesy. Everybody's a good guy. Reds are given 110%. We would tell it like it is, Tom. And I would actually turn your mic off in between commercials.
Oh, my God.
I would have your back, buddy.
All right. This has gone straight in the tank again today. Trace, have fun with my dad today. And we'll check in next week together. Thank you for your time.
And he's going to look at my nose, see if it's broke, the doctor this afternoon.
My dad has not seen you since you broke your nose, right?
No. And how dare you make that comment about when I broke my nose? You said, is there any nose exercises that you can do? You think that's funny, Tom?
No, it was
I almost
a cheat.
died.
Yeah, are there
though?
Are there any exercises?
I don't know, for this big nose.
All right. Tracy,
Have a good
get
weekend.
well. All right, buddy, you do the same. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Wow.
Viewers go up when Tracy comes on.
There's no doubt. There's no
The
doubt.
chat-
I told him, and he didn't listen to me. I told him that if he did this show with us 5 days a week and was sitting up here on the set,
I think we need to get him in here at some point.
Where's he live? Where's he live at?
he's right on the river in one of those. He said he cost over $1 million.
Yeah,
I
over in
remember.
Covington or Northern Kentucky, somewhere over there.
He's right there on the river. Yes.
All right, we got to get him up
A
here.
big palatial estate, condo. Yes.